Alright, ladies and gents, update 1.3 for Cyberpunk 2077 is officially out now, about 35 to 40 gigs in size depending on your platforms. Comes in with a ton of changes, it is the biggest update yet, but we also have to talk about the official expansion for Cyberpunk 2077 that has been confirmed by CDPR in yesterday's stream. They did go over a few details about it, about an alternate version of Jackie Wells in a different version of the same story, and most important, the fact that, it seems that there's gonna be some really big bumps ahead for the game following the unsuccessful stream that happened yesterday. So let's jump right into it. Beginning things off with the expansion, and Patrick Mills, the senior quest designer over at CDPR, did confirm in yesterday's stream that they are working on the expansion right now. They did not clarify on a release date or a possible release schedule, but I would not expect it anywhere near 2021, even by December. I would definitely see it somewhere around 2022, maybe at the beginning of the year if we are lucky with that.
We can't talk about the expansion, but I can say I'm working on it. I think it's cool. Miles and I are working on it together, and I'm really excited about what we're working on. I think it's cool. That's all I'm gonna say.
So it definitely seems that CD Projekt Red is a lot more excited for this expansion than they were for probably all of the updates so far for their own game. But at the same time, what will this expansion be about? They did mention an alternate version of Jackie at one point during the live stream. Of course, this was an older version of the older story before they actually made changes to the character to make more sense in the current setting. And they did mention that Jackie in their previous vision was supposed to be this really huge asshole that ultimately sabotages V, and he would be the reason why the heist mission goes wrong. But of course, that was in the old version of the story. They made changes because they realized that he would work way better as V's best friend.
Jackie used to be a real asshole in an older version of the game and a way older version of the story. Before a lot of much needed changes to the prologue, Jackie actually is the reason the heist goes tits up, because he's a prick and he fights you, and he was a jerk, but he works much better as your best friend. So
that was a really interesting take right there, and I would honestly love to see a Jackie DLC happening. Again, I keep mentioning those 6 months at the beginning of the expansion that I would really love to see being more expanded upon, most probably in a prequel kind of expansion. I would love to see that and have that character build up to see why Jackie became V's best friend. He did help him at the beginning of the story, but I kind of want to see that being developed into what it was after you finish the prologue. Now, the word expansion pass has been thrown around at some point during the stream. I just can't find it anymore, but this has been talked about previously, so expect these expansions to have a cost attached to them, just like in the case of The Witcher 3 once more. And I would also expect CDPR to eventually release an expansion pass for the whatever number of expansions they will release eventually for Cyberpunk 2077. They might even release an expansion pass prior to maybe even their second expansion, just having something like a season pass for the game. You pay less, but you will get all of the expansions from now on for the game, however many CDPR is thinking of creating for Cyberpunk 2077. Now, suffice to say that the new update likely didn't go in the direction that CDPR expected, and it's also in a really strange spot right now, because on one hand, it is indeed the biggest update yet. It also finally adds new content for the first time ever in the game, but at the same time, it's literally hated by almost everybody. And the reason for that is pretty simple. If you look at the whole scheme of things, and if you put things into perspective, update 1.3 isn't really that substantial. It's mostly just bug fixes to a broken game 9 months after its release, and the only piece of content that has been added, which are those jackets, the car, and the new appearance for Johnny, are unsubstantial at best. Like, literally, the two jackets, there's mods out there, and I know I keep making that comparison, but there are mods out there that since day one added like dozens, if not hundreds, of new inaccessible items for the players. I think that CDPR could have done a whole lot better if they actually implemented those as a full-on drawer in their first appearance change DLC rather than just 2 jackets, which I'm still not sure if they're useful in the whole scheme of things, since they spawn as rare quality with no mod slots. At the same time, I also think that most people who look at these patch notes expect something more fundamentally changing for the game, like many features that should have honestly already been in the game since day one, but if not, at the very least a very long time ago, and definitely not almost 9 months after release. Like there's the talks about appearance change, which is still not in the game, a proper working AI with a proper wanted system, a new game plus feature which should be really accessible. Like there's literally mods out there right now. There is somebody who just released a mod for the game that includes a new game plus. So Alaskan Bully Worm, I was set into patch 1.3, won't include a new game plus, so I made my own using the mods with the ability to level up past level 50, and he also gives you a guide on how to do it. Like of course you're gonna have to use a few cheats here and there, but there's a possibility to use these to level past 50, remove that with a save editor, and then just let the game do its level scaling, which already exists in the game. Like characters and enemies already do level scaling, but there's also a mod that does that as we speak. Like it adds proper level scaling for multiple options, it increases NPC health and it increases their statuses, it rebalances XP and stuff like that, and there's many other mods in there that if you use together, they will give you all of this together combined. So I'm not sure why CDPR takes so long to implement these. Maybe it's just that the whole studio is now focused on that expansion that might include these, but I wouldn't keep my hopes too high for that, because I'm pretty sure they will just continue forward instead of looking backwards. That's just like a premonition that I have. I hope I'm wrong on that one, but you know, it kind of feels that I wasn't wrong on way too many things lately with this game, and they kind of have to do something sooner rather than later anyway, because well, it's just going to end up with their game's price completely plummeting. Yeah, they did make a huge profit on the game already on day one, but ever since then it's not faring that well, and most recently Verge reported that yeah, the game is pretty much in the bargain bin over at Best Buy at the very least. So yeah, it doesn't look too good. Cyberpunk 2077 for consoles is just $10 today at Best Buy. CD Projekt Red's latest game is in the bargain bin, is the main, well, headline right here. So the game right now is available on disc for $10 over at Best Buy for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. If you ever thought to yourself that you're gonna wait for a price drop for Cyberpunk 2077, this might be indeed the best time to do that, because yeah, that's a really good price, and you can still go ahead and put it into your Series X or PS5 later on if you get it, and play that version as well, since the next gen upgrade is going to be for free as well. So if you have a Best Buy nearby, it might be a good idea. Now, is it worth the $10? I think personally yes. There's definitely enough enjoyment in the game out there to be warranted. $10, it's not that much for a game that gives you quite a bit over there to enjoy and play with. I paid way over $60. I pre-ordered this on 2 versions, on the PC and the PS5, well, back then PS4, and I don't regret my purchases at all, because I've been playing a lot of this game anyway, even though it's a freaking broken mess. But you know, I'm still willing to wait for some fixes. The only thing that I worry about is that CDPR might eventually abandon, you know, that No Man's Sky redemption arc that people keep throwing around for some reason, even though it's like completely different situations. Like, yes, Hello Games, the head over at Hello Games, literally sold his house to make the damn game. I'm not seeing anybody in CDPR's lead to actually take a hit like that and a risk like that. Yes, they might take a pay cut, but they will definitely not sell their houses to develop like more for Cyberpunk 2077 or any other game. Now, on the other hand, we also have a more recent job listing that might refer to Cyberpunk 2077, but it could also be like a completely new game, because yeah, CDPR seems to be hiring a camera programmer. At least that's one of their job listings over for their Vancouver office. Now, the Vancouver one, yeah, did assist in the creation of Cyberpunk 2077, so it could relate to a third-person camera for Cyberpunk 2077. We do have over here like some requirements, like for example, example, create in-game and cinematic cameras that respond intuitively to user input with a strong emphasis on aesthetics, clarity, and creating impactful player experiences. Implement and maintain a camera system within a large code base with collaborating with other departments both locally and around the world, and work on tools to give content creators the means to create and customize cameras as needed for gameplay and scenes. So likely a third-person camera and maybe a photo mode, I guess. It kind of could be that. Now this doesn't mean that this is specifically for Cyberpunk 2077. It could totally be for Witcher 4, for example. Like if they were to hire somebody for Cyberpunk, I think that in most of their job listings they actually list Cyberpunk as the game there, but it's not always exclusive. It could be that, but it could be one of their newer games, including Witcher 4 again, but I guess time will tell. I'm not sure if it makes any sense for them now to introduce a third-person camera for Cyberpunk, even though I would really love to see that. I was hoping the game will launch with that, but I'm not sure how much dependencies there are with the cutscenes that already exist in the game and with the first-person cameras that exist and with the animations and whatnot. So I guess we'll see about that. This is it with the news. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know down below if update 1.3 is as good as CDPR hopes it is.